Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all three of you for your service and for being here today. Admiral Rogers, if I start with you, which country is the most committed, determined, and successful hacker of the U.S.?
Could you say that one more time, Senator?
Which country do you believe is the most committed, successful hacker of the U.S.?
If you look at volume and nation statewide, I would, China, the PRC, has been the one that we've been the most vocal about. They're not the only one by any stretch of the imagination.
I thought the last time you were here, you said that, I recall you saying that you had more concerns over Russia having more of the ability or expertise to do us damage.
I thought your question was really focused more on volume. If the perspective is capability, if you will, then we have been very public about saying I would probably put the Russians in higher capability.
But it seems like that China is more committed and determined to do it.
They certainly do it at a volume level.
Gotcha. I understand. And Director Clapper, if I may, I know that you just said no, emphatically no, you don't believe that this agreement that the President of China and our President has made last week will work. With that saying, what are is there any penalties in this agreement if one or the other violates it? Or is it just basically, well, we have agreed and let it go at that?
The terms of
as you understand it.
The terms of it I have seen, I don't think it treats specifically penalties. There certainly are implied penalties. I think the threat of economic sanctions that which brought Minister Meng to this country, I think is illustrative of what would mean something to the Chinese if they transgress or violate this this agreement. And I think, as Admiral Rogers was discussing earlier, with respect to sanctions, there certainly are whole of government possibilities here. You don't have to do necessarily a cyber eye for an eye. It can be some other form of retaliation. But I don't think, to answer your question, at least what I'm aware of, that there are specific penalties if the agreement is violated.
And that's why I think you were pretty quick in saying you don't think it'll work. You said no to that, I think, when the chairman asked you.
Well, the reason I said no, of course, is the extent to which Chinese purloining of our data, our intellectual property, is pretty pervasive. I think there's a question about the extent to which the government actually orchestrates all of it or not. So I think we're in the to borrow President Reagan term, trust but verify mode, at least as far as intelligence is concerned, and we are inherently skeptics.
Sir, could I add something?
If I could, I have a question for you, Secretary, and then you can go ahead and add to that. There's a the recent news article that examines similarities between China's J-31 fighter and our F-35 strike fighter, and what they've been able to do in such a rapid period of time without any R&D. Do you believe that that gives them a competitive advantage? I mean, you can. I understand there might be some differences as far as in the software and the weaponry and this and that, but they're making leaps which are uncommon. At the behest of us, and we know this, I understand, but we're not taking any actions against them.
Well, I'd like to work this in to your and follow up with
you
your
go ahead.
First question. At the highest levels, we have made it clear that we believe that Chinese actions in the cybersphere are totally unacceptable as a nation state, and we made that clear in a wide variety of different ways. And I would characterize the agreement that we have as a confidence-building measure with the Chinese, where we are asking them to prove to us that they are serious about what they say, about what they will do to control these efforts. So there were really four things that we agreed to do. First, we would give timely responses to information when we say, hey, we believe that there is a problem here, and we have agreed to exchange information on cyber crimes. We've agreed to possibly collect electronic evidence and to mitigate malicious cyber activity that's occurring on our soil. We both agreed that we would not knowingly conduct cyber-enabled theft of intellectual property, which, as you say, Senator, has been a problem. We have told them it's a problem, it's unacceptable. They have said that they will work to curb that. Then we've agreed to have common effort to promote international norms. And the final thing is we'll have a high-level joint mechanism where we can meet at least twice a year and say, look, this is just not working. You are not coming through with what you've said. So this isn't a treaty or anything like that. It's a confidence-building measure for us to find out if China is going to act responsibly. I agree totally with Director Clapper. They've got to prove to us. And we know that they have stolen information from our defense contractors.
Right.
And it has helped them develop systems. And we have hardened our systems through the Defense Industrial Base Initiative, and we're trying to make
But I'm
them
saying, we know the J-20 is pretty much mirroring our F-22. We know that their J-31 is pretty much mirroring our F-35. When we know this and the cost to the American taxpayers and let them get I mean, why wouldn't we take hard actions against them? Or why wouldn't we come down? I just don't understand why we wouldn't retaliate from a financial standpoint.
There are a wide variety of cost imposition options that we have. They're developed through the interagency. And again, it's not necessarily tit for tat. It is proportional response, and we're working through all of those right now.
My time is up, sir, and if I could just follow up on that later, if we can meet with you later, I'd
Absolutely.
very much appreciate it.
Senator, if I may, just to add a word here about, this is a point Admiral Rogers has made in the past about, terminology, lexicon, nomenclature, definitions are important. And so what this represents, of course, is espionage, cyber espionage. And of course, we too practice cyber espionage in a public forum to say how successful we are, but we're not bad at it. So when we talk about what are we going to do to counter espionage or punish somebody or retaliate for espionage, well, I think it's a good idea to at least think about the old saw about people who live in glass houses
Gotcha.
shouldn't throw rocks.